Well, I think if I had to categorize my work, or the earmarks of my work, it would be they're simple, there's simplicity about them, often there's humor, and I think that comes out of just observing what I see, and I find several humorous things just by watching. And I'm not afraid of color. The bird abstracts came from trying to do academic shots of the birds. And of course, live birds don't hold still for you. And I had several shots that were nice, but their heads were blurred or something was wrong for an academic shot. And I couldn't throw them away, and I don't know why. And one day I just stared at them, and I realized that in and of themselves, the feathers were magnificent and very graphic. And so I started cropping off all the blurred parts and came up with the bird abstracts. I was volunteering at the Capital of Texas Zoo. I had trained at Los Angeles Zoo as a zookeeper and never had an opportunity to fully exercise that itch. And so when we moved to Texas from California, I volunteered, and it being a small, not-for-profit educational zoo, I had the opportunity to do everything and be everywhere. And I started taking my camera with me, and every chance I got, I would shoot the animals, and that's what fed the addiction. There was no aha moment, and this was in 2006. My point-and-shoot camera died, and I decided to invest in one with interchangeable lenses, and it went from there. I got addicted and started shooting like crazy, taking classes, jumping in with both feet, and it became an addiction. I can sit for hours and watch an animal and not get bored, and I don't get lost in the photography, I get lost in the animal, and just happen to have the camera up in front, and sometimes even forget to push the shutter because I get so involved in watching the animal, and that's where it comes from. You know, they're a neutral audience for the photograph, and they're fascinating. I feel privileged to be in their presence and be allowed to be so close and have them act naturally. And part of that comes from patience and sitting and waiting and letting them incorporate me into their environs. One was when I was doing pet photography, and someone brought 5 little dogs in and wanted them all in the same shoot. And that was like trying to herd cats. The other was when I shot the white tiger at the zoo, and he had just gotten a new water tub. And every time I would duck down, he thought I was playing with him, and he would swipe me with water. And by the time we were through with the shoot, I was drenched from head to toe, and fortunately the camera equipment survived, but he thought it was great fun, and actually I did too. Well, there were a couple that made me nervous. One was an albino rattlesnake, and after I had hung over his enclosure that he was in, they informed me that they can strike two times their body length, and I was much closer than that photographing. And there was a tarantula, and they have little barbed hooks. Their hairs have barbed hooks, and I'm very close, and when they get irritated, they will sling the hairs. And of course, with the barbed hooks and that close to my eyes, it was a little foolish, but then I find out afterwards. I started, just for my own sake, taking the pictures of the animals. And what was nice is I could go in with many of them and get shots that other people couldn't. and I started to do their publicity shots. And I hate to admit it, but there's sign pollution because I did their billboards. There are 3 around town. And then I started to do some pet photography just to expand on that. And that's really what locked me into doing what I do. I was surrounded by talented people. My mother was a seamstress, and I was the only person to go to my prom with the formal coat, lined coat made by my mother, the dress and the slip. She was a very can-do person, and adventurous, and that I think translated into what I do. And my older sister was an art major textile person, and she was a textile designer and a weaver, and I think I learned pattern and design and definitely art history from her. I've noticed my work has gone from National Geographic type shots to those with an art bent to abstractions, and now I'm working on a piece for spring that is a combination of the bird abstracts and skies, and I merge them into landscapes. So they look like realistic landscapes, but when you look at them closely, you realize that the land or the ground is the feathers. Well, I continue to do the circuit of the art shows. I am available in the Bastrop area, and I will do commissions, and I am always inventing something else and seeing where photography takes me. I'm not locked into anything at this time, and it's just a glorious adventure right now.